Get that sick old man out of my house. I don't want him near my children. Those were the exact words my daughter-in-law screamed at my son the night she discovered I had heart failure. She thought the walls were thick. They weren't. My name is Richard Bennett, 63 years old. 5 years ago, I sold my commercial real estate company for $8 million cash, paid the taxes, invested the rest, and then did something no one in my family ever suspected. I pretended to be broke. I downsized. I moved into the smallest bedroom of my son Christopher's house in South Tampa and paid them $3,000 a month in cash, just to watch, just to test whether love still existed when the money looked gone. The answer came faster than I expected, and it was uglier than I ever imagined. It started with a manila folder. I had just come from the cardiologist. The diagnosis was moderate congestive heart failure. With medication and lifestyle changes, 15 to 20 good years left. Not a death sentence. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt the cold, sharp clarity that comes right before a storm. I pulled into the driveway of the craftsman house I had helped them buy with a $50,000 check they thought was a gift. The landscaping was perfect. The white SUV was perfect. Everything looked perfect. Inside, my granddaughter Emma, 8 years old, sharp green eyes exactly like her mother's, was setting the table with military precision. My grandson Noah, 6, was crashing toy cars across the living room floor. "Grandpa!" he shouted and launched himself at my legs. I caught him, felt the familiar ache in my lower back, and forced a smile. Lauren appeared from the kitchen in $200 yoga leggings, blonde ponytail swinging like a metronome. Christopher emerged from his home office in a polo that cost more than my first car. Dinner was grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, quinoa, joyless, calibrated, Instagram perfect. I waited until everyone was served. Then I slid the diagnosis folder across the table. Heart failure, moderate stage, manageable. The doctor is optimistic. 15, maybe 20 years. I watched their faces the way a sniper watches a target. Lauren's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Her eyes flicked to Christopher for half a second, a glance I was never meant to catch. Christopher reached for his water glass. "That's concerning, Richard," Lauren said, voice thin. "Yeah, Dad, that's tough," Christopher added. "Make sure you follow the doctor's orders." Emma's eyes went wide. "Are you going to be okay, Grandpa?" I smiled only at her. "I'm fine, sweetheart. Just means I have to take better care of myself." Lauren changed the subject in 4 seconds flat. "Christopher, did you finish the Henderson proposal?" My mortality was dismissed faster than a weather report. I ate my chicken and memorized every flicker of indifference. That night, the walls spoke. I had excused myself to my room, the converted home office, the smallest space in the house, barely big enough for a bed and a dresser. I opened the top drawer. 12 identical white envelopes sat in a perfect row, one for each month of the year. I had prepared this month's envelope 3 days early. 30 crisp $100 bills. I carried it to the dining room where Christopher was loading the dishwasher. "This month's contribution," I said. He took it without looking inside. "Thanks, Dad." No gratitude, just muscle memory of entitlement. Lauren watched from the kitchen doorway, eyes tracking the envelope like a hawk. Then she turned away. I went back to my room, sat on the edge of the bed, and listened. The walls were thin. First came the normal sounds. Kids being put to bed, teeth brushed, doors closed. Then the bedroom door shut. Then the voices started, low at first, then rising. I stood up. Something ancient and animal pulled me into the hallway. I moved silently until yellow light leaked under their door, and then Lauren's voice sliced through the drywall like a scalpel. "We need to talk about your father, because I'm done, Christopher, completely done. Get that sick old man out of my house. I don't want him near my children with whatever diseases he's carrying. He's dragging us down. Can't you see that? $3,000 a month? This mortgage alone is $5,000 before utilities, food, everything else. He's barely covering half his burden, and now he's sick. What if he dies here? What if the kids find him? 1 week, Christopher. I want him gone." Christopher's reply was barely audible. "Jenny, keep your voice down. The kids will be fine. Tell him anything. Tell him we need space. Tell him it's better for his health. I don't care. Just get him out." Silence. I waited for my son to grow a spine. I waited for the boy I raised to defend his father. Instead, I heard one small, broken word. "Okay." I stepped backward into my room and closed the door without a sound. My hand shook only once as I let go of the knob. Then the shaking stopped. Something colder took its place. I did not sleep. I opened the closet, pushed hanging shirts aside, and lifted down the small fire safe I kept on the top shelf. Inside were private banking statements no one in that house had ever seen. The most recent showed a balance of $12,347,000, give or take the daily interest. They thought I had lost everything when I sold the business. They thought I downsized out of necessity. They had no idea I had sold Walker Commercial Properties, 23 buildings, for $8 million 5 years earlier. They had no idea I had invested every penny and watched it grow while I played the role of the grateful, broke retiree. Memories flooded in, paying for Christopher's college, $180,000 over 4 years, helping him buy an investment property in his 20s, then helping him sell it when he mismanaged it. The car, the wedding, the endless bailouts that apparently built nothing but expectation. I sat in the dark until dawn, processing betrayal into something hard, clear, and useful. Morning came. Christopher was making coffee with exaggerated concentration. He could not meet my eyes. Lauren swept through, grabbed her phone, and disappeared. The kids were still asleep. Christopher cleared his throat. "Dad, I've been thinking, maybe it would be better for everyone, for your health, less stress, more independence, if you found your own place. We'll give you a week to make arrangements." Every word rehearsed, every word weak. I looked at my son and saw exactly what he had become. A man shaped by the path of least resistance, married to a woman who had consumed whatever backbone he once possessed. I smiled. "I understand completely, Christopher. I'll begin making arrangements today." Something in my tone made him glance up sharply. He had expected protest, guilt, maybe tears. He got calm acceptance instead. That should have terrified him more than anger ever could. I walked to my room, pulled the suitcase from the closet, and began folding clothes with deliberate, methodical movements. Through the thin walls I heard Lauren's voice, bright with relief. "He's actually packing." I continued folding. Around me were boxes I had never fully unpacked in 3 years. I had always known this arrangement might be temporary. I just needed to know why it would end. Midday I paused among half-packed boxes, holding a framed photo from Christopher's college graduation. The ceremony I had paid for, the degree I had funded, The pride I had felt watching him walk across that stage. I set the photo face down in a box. My phone sat on the nightstand. I opened the private banking app. The balance stared back. $12,347,000. I opened the real estate app and typed Tampa luxury homes, 500,000 and up. Waterfront estates, modern mansions, historic gems filled the screen. For the first time since the hallway, a small, cold smile crossed my face. They wanted the sick old man out of their house. They had no idea what house the sick old man could afford. I called Diane Ellison at Ellison Realty. My budget is up to $600,000. All cash offer. I need to move fast. Her pause lasted exactly 2 seconds. Cash. That's wonderful, Mr. Bennett. When would you like to see properties? As soon as possible. I'm on a tight timeline. I can show you 8 tomorrow afternoon. Perfect. Then I called my private banker, Douglas Chen. We had worked together for 23 years. Douglas, I'll need $600,000 transferred to checking by next Friday. Buying something interesting? A house. Fresh start. He didn't pry. That's why I kept him. The next 2 days I drove. Christopher left for work at 7:30. Lauren took the kids to school at 8. I cruised West Shore, Palmatia, Hyde Park, imagining new lives. Wednesday afternoon, I met Diane Ellison at a coffee shop. She spread photos across the table. One caught my eye immediately. Modern white stone and glass, gated, not fussy, listed at $580,000. That one, I said. We can see it tomorrow at 3. Sellers are motivated, already relocated to Atlanta. Motivated sellers. Cash buyer. This would move fast. That night, I drafted the note I would leave. I tried different versions. Finally, I settled on the one that would hurt the most without raising suspicion. Thank you for your hospitality these 3 years. I have found new housing and will be gone by noon today. Do not trouble yourselves about the sick old man anymore. The envelope contains this month's contribution. Dad. Thursday at 3 o'clock, I stood in front of the house that would become mine. White stone, warm wood accents, quiet street, 10 minutes from everything. Diane walked me through every room. I barely heard the specs. I was already picturing Christopher's face when he realized where I had gone. Full asking price, cash. I want to make an offer today, I told her. Her professional mask slipped for half a second. Today? I'm not most buyers. 6 days after Christopher told me to leave, I woke before dawn for the last time in his house. I placed the note and the final envelope on the kitchen table. Christopher left for work early, avoiding me. Lauren took the kids to school. At 8 sharp, the moving truck arrived. By 10:30, every box was loaded. I locked their front door for the last time, dropped the key in the mailbox, and drove to West Shore, my gate, my driveway, my house. The movers finished in 2 hours. I tipped them $500 each. I made coffee in my new kitchen, actual counter space, modern appliances, a window overlooking my own backyard. I walked to what was already my office, real desk, proper lighting, bookshelves waiting to be filled. My phone buzzed at 4 o'clock. Text from Christopher, "Got your note. Hope you're settled. Take care of yourself." 9 words. I did not reply. 7 days later, my phone showed 17 missed calls from Christopher and Lauren. I ignored them all. Then I called Eleanor Hayes, the estate planning attorney who had hidden my fortune 5 years ago. "Eleanor, it's Richard Bennett. I need to update my will, and I need you to make a phone call to my son. It's time he learned a few things about his father's finances. 3 days later, Christopher sat in Eleanor's 15th floor office. She started calm and professional. "I'm handling your father's estate planning. He wanted you informed of certain assets." Christopher looked confused. "Assets? Dad sold his house years ago. He lived with us." Eleanor slid the first document across the desk. Portfolio statement. Balance in bold, approximately $12 million. Christopher stared. His face went blank. Then she showed the deed to the West Shore house. Then the new will. He was no longer the sole heir. Christopher started breathing in shallow gasps, like someone had punched him in the stomach. He left the office, moving like a sleepwalker. In the parking garage, he called Lauren. "Lauren, you need to sit down. Dad has $12 million. He was testing us the whole time. The $3,000 a month. He could have bought 10 houses like ours." They tried to call me 42 times in the next 3 days. I watched the screen light up and felt nothing. On the 4th day, their white SUV crawled past my gate, circled back, and parked across the street. They stood on the sidewalk staring at my house like it was a mirage. The doorbell rang. I let it ring 30 seconds. Then I walked outside, rested, healthy, dressed like money. Lauren tried first. "Richard, we've been so worried. The children miss you. That night, I was stressed. I said things I didn't mean." I quoted her verbatim, voice soft and lethal. "Get that sick old man out of my house. I don't want him near my children. He's dragging us down." Her face went white. Christopher tried next. "Dad, can we talk inside, like family?" "Family?" I repeated. "You gave me 1 week to leave my family. I took 3 days." Lauren reached through the gate. I stepped back. "Don't touch me. The sick old man is gone, and he took $12 million with him." I turned, walked inside, and closed the door. The lock clicked like a guillotine. They still thought it couldn't get worse. It could. 3 years earlier, when I gifted them the down payment and renovations, $150,000 total, I had made Christopher sign a promissory note for tax purposes. He never read it. Last week, I invoked the acceleration clause. Full amount, principal plus 3 years compounded interest, $173,600 due in 90 days, or I foreclose on the house my money helped them buy. They had $25,000 in savings. They started selling everything: designer handbags on Facebook Marketplace, Peloton bike, guest room furniture, Christopher's poker table. Neighbors noticed. Lauren lost 15,000 Instagram followers in 10 days. Comments turned vicious. School moms iced her out. Christopher got a formal warning at work. 8-year-old Emma found Eleanor's business card and called me. "Grandpa, why don't you visit anymore? Did we do something wrong?" That was the only moment my armor cracked. 10 weeks later, they had scraped together $90,000 by bleeding their lives dry. I agreed to meet them at a coffee shop overlooking Tampa Bay. They looked broken. I slid my terms across the table. Non-negotiable. 1. Wire me the $90,000 you collected. Consider it tuition. 2. I forgive the remaining $97,500. The house stays yours. 3. Mandatory family therapy, weekly, 6 months minimum. 4. New will stands. Grandchildren's trust gets almost everything. You two split $100,000 total after my death. 5. You stand in front of the entire extended family and repeat, word for word, what you said about the sick old man. 48 hours. They signed the next morning. 2 weeks later, 15 relatives gathered in my cousin Rita's living room. Christopher and Lauren stood, shaking, and repeated Lauren's hallway rant verbatim to every person in the room. Then they begged forgiveness on their knees. Some people cried. Some refused to look at them. I spoke last. I accept your apology. Actions will tell me if you've changed. Boundaries are permanent. Today, I see Emma and Noah every Saturday for pancakes, supervised on my terms. Their parents remain in therapy, still terrified of losing the house if they ever forget the lesson. My will is filed. The grandchildren's trust is untouchable. Every night, I sit on my terrace, doctor-approved bourbon in hand, watching sunsets that cost more than their mortgage. They wanted the sick old man gone. They got their wish. And I finally came home.